Hey guys, my name is Christina Rodriguez, and I'll be talking about modules 8 and 9 today for this group discussion. Module 8 is mostly about teamwork, effective ways for communication within a team. One of the main course concepts that I'll talk about is the different roles within a group, and then also how those roles can be used for strategic communication. And then Module 9 relies heavily on leadership. It also talks briefly about harassment and bullying, but it mostly focuses on what we consider effective communication for a leader and some different models and attributes that leaders have. I do apologize in advance if this video gets a little choppy with edits or anything. My daughter, who's 7 months old, she does have a cold right now, so naps are pretty much non-existent. But I'm going to do my best to kind of just power through it, and hopefully I can get this done before she wakes up. Module 8 starts out talking about a team-based organization. What that means is an organization is one that has restructured itself around interdependent decision-making groups, not individuals, as a means of improving work processes and providing better products and service to customers. The difference between the bureaucratic hierarchy of organizations that we're used to and that we've talked about in discussions in the past, where you've got the top guy, a little bit below, and it kind of works its way down the ladder. Difference between that and the team-based organization is team-based organizations focus on the overall good of the work process compared to just an individual. So instead of it being majorly focused on that one person or the top CEO, they're more focused on being able to utilize all the different knowledge that each individual possesses to combine that to benefit the whole organization. They're also really focused on informal communication. They actually encourage it, which is a big difference between the bureaucratic organization model that we've talked about in the past, where everything has to be extremely formal, written out communication, emailed communication, documentation of any sort of communication, things like that, compared to just being able to have a normal everyday conversation and be able to work effectively from that informal conversation. We also learned about the basic types of teams. We learned about project teams. They're standing groups that help coordinate the successful completion of a particular project, product, or service. They may struggle because the lack of communication skills aren't always there, but the project teams within the organization are different because people generally report to two different supervisors, so they might work from home or they might have a team that they're assigned to. It just depends on the particular project. Work teams are groups of employees that are responsible for the entire work process that delivers a product or service to a customer. This means that a work team could be an entire department, or it could just be a couple people that a director or something has assigned to a particular team. It's also about being empowered as a team, so you're able to increase important management skills and things like that by working in this team. When you go into the advanced types of teams, then it goes on to virtual teams, which can work with a range of new technologies to gather and work from various locations. Virtual teams are groups of people who work together across time and space, meaning they could be spread out, they might not be in the same physical location, and then also it involves a working relationship between different community members and being involved in the community as a team as well. So next we'll talk about the 5 different team roles. A task role is one in which the team member summarizes and evaluates the team's ideas and progress or initiates the brainstorming process. In some ways, the task role could be considered the leader of the group. In a maintenance role, the team member seeks to relieve group tension or pressure and create group harmony. So this is the person who kind of wishes to please everybody and make everybody happy within the group. The self-centered role involves a team member who seeks to dominate the group's discussions and work or to divert attention from serious issues. This can be the most troublesome within team roles because when you have somebody who has the self-centered role, they're more focused on making the topic about themselves compared to the overall good of the team. The prince role is exhibited by a group member who views him or herself as a brilliant political strategist and the world as a political entity. When you have the prince role, that person tends to make everything about a political strategy or topic within the group. So their main concern is taking something that might not even be a political conversation and turning it into something about politics. In the facilitator role, a team member focuses on group processes for the benefit of the team while refraining from substantive comments or issues. This can be the most important part within the team roles because the facilitator role is the main person who is focused on the good of the group and ensuring a successful outcome for the group. They are not concerned with making negative comments or anything along those issues. We also learned about Aubrey Fisher's model of group decision making, and the 4 stages that are highlighted are orientation, conflict, emergence, and reinforcement. Orientation is members of the team who get to know and trust each other. And then you go into conflict, where team members express and debate different ideas, perspectives, and worldviews and form alliances. This means that you might have 2 group members who stick together and maybe don't agree with the views or ideas of the rest of the group, and so they create their own alliance, and that's where the conflict comes together. Emergence, members move forward to work together to create a consensus and determine how to implement the decision. This is pretty much conflict resolution. So they decide that the group needs to move forward and create the overall good for the group to accomplish whatever it is that they are tasked to do. Reinforcement is when the members feel a strong sense of cooperation and accomplishment. This is when the group has come back together. It's the final stage in the model, and it's when the members all feel the best about the group. So one of the last concepts I'm going to talk about is from Module 9 about leadership. And it talks about the characteristics of effective communication. There's 4 essential characteristics, and they are openness, supportiveness, motivation, and empowerment. You learning too? Openness means that all parties engaged in the communication are open and receptive listeners, but also refrain from responses that might be perceived as providing feedback that could be negative. Openness shouldn't override other concerns such as confidentiality or ethics within interpersonal communication or organizations. Supportiveness means supervisors are able to be supportive, but it sometimes does divide relationships into in-groups and out-groups. Effective supervisors try to communicate in ways that simultaneously show concern for the relationship, but still demonstrate respect and promote task accomplishment for the individual. Motivation refers to a personal commitment to a person toward the accomplishment of a specific goal, activity, or task. Supervisors have to be really encouraging and motivational to keep their employees on track, so it's pretty easy to see why that's one of the 4 characteristics of effective communication. And then lastly, empowerment. W.L. Gore and his associates actually identified 6 rules for empowering employees, and those include distribute power and opportunity widely, maintain an open, decentralized communication system, use integrative problem solving to involve diverse groups and individuals, practice meeting challenges in an environment of trust, reward and recognize employees to encourage a high performance ethic and self-responsibility, and lastly, learn from organizational ambiguity, inconsistency, contradiction, and paradox. The reason that these 6 rules for empowering employees are important is because Employees feel empowerment by having their feedback respected, feeling as though their opinions are wanted, and also reward and recognition to continue to encourage their level of performance that achieved them that award or recognition to begin with. So those were the course concepts that I found the most interesting from modules. Really, Jor? Hope you guys learned something from this video, and I look forward to this week's discussion. Have a great day.